Welcome to Straight Talk with Jon Brunson. Today we'll be answering some questions related to spearfishing and also our show Spear Life. So anxious to see what the questions are today. I always like the guys to surprise me, so I can't really prepare. I've got to just kind of, answer it on the fly. So let's see who our first question is from here. They pretty much give me a topic, and that's about it. But I like it that way. All right. So Jack Collard, I think I'm saying that right, Colliard, is from Florida. Okay. It's from my neck of the woods. I'm a big fan of your show, Spear Life, and was wondering how you talk to each other underwater. Okay. Yeah, we actually have got this question quite a bit. So when we're diving, if you watch, one of our shows is called Spear Life, kind of a lifestyle travel, spearfishing show with me and a couple of my buds I grew up with. But we're, one of the really cool things about the show that's been different, at least from, like past spearfishing shows that I used to watch back in the day is, we get to talk underwater. So instead of just, having a constant music video underwater, you actually get to talk to each other. And obviously, when you're watching the show, you get to hear us talk to each other underwater. So that's definitely added a cool aspect to diving in general, and also the show. So how we do it is we have underwater comms. So we work with a company called OTS. If you watch pretty much anything on TV, diving related, if you're watching Shark Week, you're watching Discovery, your National Geographic, anytime, most of the time, at least from what I've seen, most of the time when you see these, when you see divers diving in Shark Week and stuff and you hear them talking to each other, it's with an OTS system. I'm guessing there's other systems out there, but I know when we started, OTS was, the system to have. And so it's basically an underwater comm, and we can just talk to each other. It's up until now, and it's kind of funny I get this question because something, we knew came out, and we literally just got it last week. It's not even, out of the box yet, but when we're underwater, they kind of work like think of kind of just like a two-way radio, So, when you're talking, you got to kind of pause between talks or it cuts out and steps on each other. Historically it would have maybe a 30-foot range or so underwater. So, it's really cool. And it's been really fun to have underwater, but it's also been a little tricky because, it's finicky and you don't get a lot of distance and blah, blah. So we were at, ICAST this past year on July, and we met with OTS at their booth, and we got introduced to a new system that they actually designed for the military, and we just could not wait to get our hands on it. In July we're still filming Spear Life, so of course we were begging them, when are we going to get the new system? But unfortunately we didn't get it by the time we finished filming our season of Spear Life, which was in August. But the good news is we did just finally get our new system in last week. It's in the studio and it's literally in the box still. So new mast, new comms, new everything. So the difference between these, and I'm going off memory from iCast 4 or 5 months ago, but the system is just by looking at the system, they've definitely evolved it drastically. It has gone from and again, I want to make sure I'm getting this right here. Some of this could be a little off, but it'll at least give you the gist of it. So with the new system, it's a military grade system. We got new mast, new comms, a lot slicker looking, a lot, just not as clunky and definitely evolved the product. But the couple of things that I'm super excited about is one, before we had a 30-foot range or whatever it was underwater, and now we've got a 3-mile range. Now, obviously, we're not diving, separately miles apart. But, understanding that all of a sudden you get a few hundred yards apart, it's nice to know that you got a really strong system, that you can talk to your buddy that's got a 3 mile radius. So if, you're 300, 400, 500 yards away, you get separated on a dive. All of a sudden, one's down, one's heading down one way on a ledge, you're going the other way on the ledge, you end up quite a ways apart. At least now we know we've got like this super strong system that we can talk to each other and we're not going to lose communication. So I'm really excited about that. The other cool thing about this system is it has a box. And this is a portable system, so I don't have to like hardwire this into the Spearlife boat. So it's got a box that sits up on the boat, and we can actually talk to the captain, and the captain can talk to us. So while we're down there diving, maybe 110 feet down, we can literally talk to the captain. Tell him what's going on. Hey, there's no fish, or we're not on the spot. He can tell us, okay, well, I see your bubbles. Why don't just head east, or head west, and you should be able to find the ledge, because before it's amazing. Before you had all this communication, you go do it, you go down on a dive and you'd miss your mark and you'd be out there puttering around in white sand and you never find your structure and you burn a dive. And burning a dive stinks because, most days if we're hustling, we're getting 4 dives in. So you go burn a dive, burn a dive. Well, you burn 1 of 4 dives of the day. So, with the new systems, we can talk to each other. We can talk to the captain. When he's following us on the surface, he's watching our bubbles. He knows where we're at. He can tell us, hey, you're heading in the wrong direction, before we even know it. We may get down there and start heading a certain way, thinking we're headed to a ledge or a coral head, and he's following our bubbles, and he can radio us and say, hey, guys, you need to take a right. You need to head east. You're gonna miss the mark. So definitely excited to try the new system. We'll start filming the new season of Spearlife. We always kick it off pretty much at the end of April with Key West, so that'll probably be our first trip this next year. So definitely excited to get out and try the new OTS. Definitely excited to get out and try the new OTS system. So that's how we talk to each other underwater. Pretty cool. You can look up online and you can kind of see the whole comm system and everything. All right, next we've got Jennifer Sims from Texas. Our whole family loves watching Spearlife, and we love the Meg Tooth episode and wanted to know how to do it and what's the best place to look for Megalodon teeth. Okay. So, diving and finding, Megalodon teeth is, I love it. I mean, it is like growing up, I was a reptile. I think like most boys, I was a dinosaur nut. I was a reptile nut, and shark's teeth and alligator teeth, you name it. I was all about it. So, now with Spearlife, getting out and doing dives, we have this one spot, off of kind of off the coast of Myrtle Beach, off the coast of Myrtle Beach. So up around, kind of North Carolina, South Carolina, we've got a spot out there that we crushed the Megalodon teeth. Now, I say we have a good buddy of ours we dive with there. So his name's Cameron Sabastion, one of the funnest guys you'll ever hang out with. Owns a dive shop there called Coastal Scuba, and born and raised there. Has been diving there his whole life. And if you're going to go dive, if you're going to go dive anywhere in North and South Carolina, like he's the guy you'll look up. They do everything from, just diving for meg teeth to spearfishing to diving historical, wrecks, old Civil War wrecks. They do, pretty much everything. I mean, you name it, dolphin doors, fishing, they got a big fleet of boats. I mean, they pretty much have it all covered. Everything that we do with Cam is diving and spearfish related. So I would say that if you're really interested in one of the coolest dives that you'll probably ever do in your life, which is, looking for these Megalodon teeth, Cam's your guy. If you can actually book something with him or him and his daughter, even better. His daughter is an absolute fish. I swear she's got gills, but just, some of the funnest people to dive with. And definitely our number one go-to spot for Megalodon teeth. There's something kind of neat and, treasure hunting kind of vibe, but also, looking for fossils. I mean, it's hard to explain. It's like a treasure hunt, but it's for fossils, and you're down there you're down there finding these big megalodon teeth, and you'll find a lot. I mean, if you go with Cam, chances are you're gonna find quite a few megalodon teeth, and it's cool. It's neat to find a giant megalodon tooth and know when you put that in your hands that tooth is that tooth is somewhere between 3 million and 20 million years old. I mean, it's been sitting on the bottom of that ocean floor, for 3 million, 5 million, 8 million, 15 million years. And then you find it, and it's yours, and you've got that kind of piece of history in your hand. It is definitely, out of all the dives we do, and we do a lot of crazy dives, I would say the megalodon tooth dive with Cam in off of Myrtle Beach is definitely one of our favorite dives of all time. So, that would be my number one go-to. In Florida, we do have a spot off of Venice, Florida, and it's not far offshore. It's in like 20 feet of water. But if you can find the right spot, or if you can, hire, like a dive boat or something that knows where the spot is, you can definitely find some, meg teeth there. So I'd say the two hot spots that I've seen is, off Myrtle Beach with Cam, and then off of Venice here in Florida, off Venice Beach. But it's really just finding the spots. Like, me and my buddies have went and dove Venice and didn't really have the exact spots. We just went and goofed off, and we found some teeth, and I found one pretty good meg tooth. But there's definitely some spots there where you can crush them, and, you just got to hire a guide or a boat that knows where they're going. But if I had to pick my number one spot to megalodon teeth dive, it would definitely be, off Myrtle Beach with Cam at Coastal Scuba. Not only is he going to put you on a bunch of teeth, he is just one of the funnest guys to be around. I mean, you'll absolutely have a blast. All right, good time. Let's do one more question here. We got one more Spear Life question. All right, this is Terry Jones from Georgia. Okay. I saw a Spear Life episode that y'all filmed in Georgia. Could you tell me about the trip as far as any advice about diving off the coast of Georgia? Okay. Yeah. So for us in Spear Life, I mean, obviously, with the TV show Spear Life, we're traveling to different locations, and we're diving, in Florida, we're diving in Georgia, we're diving in Alabama, we're diving in Mississippi, we're diving oil rigs, we're diving, shipwrecks and meg teeth off of, Myrtle Beach, off the coasts of, North and South Carolina. So we're kind of all over the place. When we're home, it's one thing to be diving in your backyard. But when, if you're not real sure, if you're not, let's say you're living in Georgia, you're wanting to start diving in Georgia, my recommendation is always hire a guide, even if it's just for a trip or two. The thing about it is there, every single episode that we do of Spear Life, no matter where we go, we hire a guide. Someone from that area, they're a dive captain. They know what they're doing. They know where the spots are. They know what's going on with the water, the tides, the best time of the year to dive, all that good stuff. So, I would recommend, hiring a guide. As far as Georgia, we've only dove Georgia one time. So the company we dove with out of Georgia is Captain Kevin Honeycutt. Name of the company is Latitude 31 Dive Company. So I would just search them online. Latitude 31 Dive Company. Kevin Honeycutt's the owner and the captain, and just a great guy. Georgia is definitely a different experience diving. it was, everywhere you go, it's some places you got to go out deep, some places you can get in shallow, some places, it's just crazy the diversity in diving Florida versus, Alabama or Mississippi or North Carolina. I would say Georgia. We had a blast in Georgia. Georgia was, if I remember correctly, it was kind of like, there's like two layers to Georgia, right? So if I remember correctly, it seemed like, definitely the better spearfishing was further offshore. Okay. So I know that I want to say like our first day, or I think our first day, I don't know if our second day, but I know our first day we went, made a pretty good run offshore, and out there we got into clean water. We were diving, wrecks and things, and we shot a lot of nice fish, and those some really cool wrecks. And it was great. And then I want to say our second or third day, we came in and we did kind of some more inshore stuff, not like inshore, but we were I don't remember, maybe we were 10 miles offshore, not 40 miles offshore. And I know with the closer stuff, we were diving some cool wrecks and shot some cool fish. And we got some good lobster too, if I remember correctly, on that Georgia episode. It's been a couple of years. So yeah, so we've only dove Georgia once, and we dove with Kevin, and guy's a great captain, did a great job, great disposition, worked hard, really worked hard on making sure you had fun and shot fish. Each day he had someone different with us, diving with us. They were awesome, very knowledgeable, knew what they were doing. So my recommendation, especially, if you're new to diving or if you're new to an area, my recommendation is always, hire a guide, get out there and just, hey, hire them for a day, hey, I'd like to go out and just dive for a day, and those guys will teach you a lot about the area. And, it is money well spent, I can tell you, because by the time you get out there and try and figure it out yourself, and you're diving and you're not shooting fish and you don't know where the good spots are. And I mean, man, by the time you figure all that out, you'd have been way better off, money wise and time wise, just to hire a guy that knows what he's doing. So I'd recommend, hiring a guide, and that is who we used in Georgia. Well, I think that'll do it for today. Try to keep these reasonable, not too long, but get a little long-winded sometimes, get to rambling on. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop with that question. But yeah, for those of you who watch the Spear Life, we appreciate it. If you haven't seen Spear Life, check it out on the Outdoor Channel. Pretty fun show. I'd say when it comes to Spear Life, I tell people, at the very least, at the end of the episode, you should at least have a smile on your face. It's definitely a fun show. So with that, I think we'll wrap it up today, and we'll see you next time. This has been Straight Talk with Jon Brunson.